So what's the worst response you ever got to a traveling call before? Not from a player necessarily, just from your environment. Could be fans, could be a coach, player, but you don't have to name names or anything. But what's one of the hardest kind of worst responses you got to a travel call?
It's usually the surprise reaction, like what? Like, and it's like, you know, what are you talking about? And they're always very surprised when you call travel. And you try to explain to them what you did, what they did, and the immediate response is usually, no, I didn't. And then, what are you going to do at that point? You say, okay, well, I'll go back and I'll look at it and I'll let you know. But I always like to throw in, I hope you do the same. Like, hey, like, why don't you take a look at it? I know you can see it too. Go and see it and see if I was right versus me always having to report back. So I it's it's usually just that really surprised look, like, what do you call it? And
Yeah. It's like for the fans, I know it's kind of, I just kind of have fun with it when, like I've heard, when I call it travel, I've heard this is the NBA. You don't call it travel in the NBA. And I'll
that's
just
good.
throw my
Yeah,
hands up and shrug my shoulders like, well, that's news to me. So just keep it moving. It's something where, from the fans' perspective, it's always the other way. Like they think it should be called way more than it actually should. And I know even for myself, when I go back and look at film, if I call it travel, I'm telling you, I'm probably right 80% of the time. And the other 20 is because it looked like Kane said earlier, it's like, oh man, that had to be a travel. And when I go back and look at it, sometimes it's not. And because I gave into that moment. So fans think it should be called way more than it actually should be because they are just that good with their footwork.
and you got to remember the players are constantly working on these moves. Like they're hours and upon hours in the gym, thousands of hours in the gym practicing this one move, working on the footwork. Whether it's the Curry step back or all the Euro step that they do, they have all these moves that they practice all the time. So you really want to be sure when you call travel because it's a turnover for that player, it's a turnover for the team. You're taking the possession away. So last thing you want to do is just call and guess on something that's not real, and then you take away all that hard work the player has been working on that move for. A possession from the team, which is so important in basketball, especially in the pro game. It's just bad discipline on the referee's part. Like part of our work is that we stay disciplined and we don't guess. So if you
Yeah.
don't see the pivot foot and you don't know that it's illegal, then don't call it. Don't guess on a play that you're not sure about.
Right. And then the growth to that, to what he just said, is if I didn't get it this time, well, then I got to make sure I get it the next time and the next time after that. Because again, like Kane said, it is part of our work and it's extremely important. Possessions are important, man. Every possession is important. And I think it's even more so in the lower levels because they have less time, right? High school games are 32 minutes. A college game is 40. NBA is 48. So you got less time to make up for our mistakes. And so we really want to be diligent with that. It's not just like a throwaway call. It's important. And we want to be as accurate as we possibly can with that because it has huge impact in the game.